Okay, so I had somebody on the stream today ask me about my OBS setup and my setup in general. So I am starting out the video in desktop mode, and I'm going to go through as fast as I can what I've learned about my setup in the last month. And I'm coming up on I think my year anniversary or my 1 month anniversary. So I haven't been doing this for very long, but I really dove into it, and with both feet, I guess is the word, and learned a lot along the way. In fact, in the process, I've had to reinstall Linux a couple times, not because of this directly, but every time I've had to reset up some things. So I'm going to run through some tips real quick about how to do that. So first of all, I want to start out with just OBS itself. So here I have OBS down in the corner. I'm going to bring it up in the front. I've right-clicked here and I have always on top set. I have an IRC client that's logged into several streams. I have your Scream stream. He's at dinner right now, but I was just on his. And you can monitor several channels at the same time very easily for new information. Not to mention adding Freenode or Linux Mint comes, and HexChat comes on Linux by default. I should probably say that my operating system is Linux Mint Cinnamon because I prefer an operating system that's less difficult to set up and just works, and that's the case with Mint. I'm not against Arch or any of the others. I just don't think they're my thing, nor are they for most beginners. So we have IRC over here. We'll talk about IRC, but I've got a theme going on to keep it dark. It's also set to always on top. The other applications I have are just really briefly. I have a full-screened Firefox. So there we go. There, Firefox I found is the only application the only web browser that will work with Xcompositor. So when you're doing your sources, we'll come back to this, but when you're going to a scene, I'm going to switch out for a second, and you can see that Firefox is the only one that works. I'll show you, but if you add Brave, which is my browser of choice, it does not work. But that works out in the end because I'm able to use Brave for one purpose, provided I have enough RAM, which I tend to run out of on this little guy. But it also means that I can have Brave running. So I'll just show you. Look at my Brave. Here it is. I use Brave as my stuff that I don't want people to see. It's where I run my Stream Manager when I'm running it. With the IRC and the OBS on top now, I no longer need a Stream Manager or even a separate machine for monitoring because I can see exactly what's going on, which is really nice because I'd rather just pop on the stream and then have to turn the lights on or whatever rather than have to set a bunch of stuff up. I'll talk about the hardware and stuff in my studio at some point later. I'm sure there's a lot of people who have better ideas about how to do that than I, but I'll talk about that later. So I have OBS of course running. I have as I said HexChat, which is the most popular chat that comes with Mint. It's pre-configured. It's graphical a little bit. I'm more of a command line guy, but in this case, I think having it on top, kind of trumps the ability to use it from the command line. In addition, I've got, as I said, Brave, which I have my Proton Mail up, and I have what is that? Okay. Yeah, my Proton Mail up. We'll talk about Proton Mail over Gmail sometime. I have my Stream Manager, which mostly I use for editing stream info. In fact, and rating channels. If I could do that without using the Stream Manager, I would. So that's really the only thing in Brave. If I'm opening Amazon or I'm doing some other thing like that, I do that. For password management, I use an application called KeePassXC, which I won't fire up. I'll talk about that in another stream. That's not related to my streaming setup, but that's where I store all my passwords. It does a really good job of hiding them, and the fact that I have a YubiKey makes it even more secure because if somebody inadvertently got access to my machine, they would still have to have physical access to the YubiKey to access any of my data on my keys. I'm going pretty fast here because we can come back and deep dive into any of these things later. I just wanted to give kind of the intro overview of how to do everything. Okay, so now that we've got all that out of the way, I do tend to stream music. It looks like John has gotten kind of soft on us. John Wick, let's pull him up. Get some more music. Gotta have a little bit of music. I'll talk about whether or not to use copyrighted music on stream and my feelings about that at some other point. I'm still kind of trying to get my head around the legality of it and what is, the spirit versus the letter of the law, that kind of thing. But generally, I have music in the background, and I've turned off the desktop audio because of my sound hardware setup, which again will also have to be in another video. Just to tell you, I have an MSI Trident. It's like an $800 or $900 computer with a GTX 1060. And I have a tiny little $80 mixer board for the sound, and that's what allows me to use regular audio equipment, which I'd recommend if you can get that instead of USB stuff. All right, so let's talk about the OBS configuration. That was the question. My current OBS, I've minimized it down as much as possible. I've found a lot of things out. For example, you can switch between these sources, and this you can pull these out and combine them and resize and all that. Who needs to lock this down? I suggest you lock your preview, by the way, because then if you lock your preview, you can right click on your preview and you can get a windowed projector, which will show you what you look like. In this case, I projected one piece of it as opposed to the whole scene, so I'm going to do that. I project, let's see, window projector. All right, so, still the same thing. I think you have to actually click in the gray. Yeah, I noticed that the other day. No, still nothing. What is going on? Why are you not previewing properly? All right, well, I'll clip that out, but here we go. So, window projector. Nope. That's very odd. That's very, very odd. I don't know what quite to say on that. That's a full screen projector. So the full screen projector, wow, look at this. This is really cool. I think I just might have crashed something. Nope, they're still in. All right, so I don't know why, but for some reason my desktop source has not registered me as a source. So I don't know if it's actually, I assume it is. So this is actually one case where you really would want to go look at your stream and see if it's there. So I'm looking at yeah, so I'm looking at myself and I'm there I am. And all right, so yeah, I don't know what's up with that previewer. It seems I wonder if it's because I locked it in a different way. Let me figure this out. So yeah, okay, let's try that. Let's lock that. Lock preview. Okay, so then window to preview. Wow, that's interesting. Okay, I learned something there. So what was going on with that is that's interesting. So when it's locked, when you lock it, if it's selected on one thing, then all the previews will be of that thing only. So if you click off and then lock without anything selected, preview is currently disabled. Enable preview. Well, I guess I turned it off. Okay, so I'm going to do right click lock preview, and now when I do right click windowed preview, I get, and you can use a full screen, I get the whole thing. That's really fascinating. I didn't realize that was the thing. In the past, I guess I've always done it. In my case, it's usually down here or here. Something that I wanted to make a video all by itself on is how to move your windows around in Linux. You don't have to grab it by the bar. So if you're really lazy or you just want to go grab it, just hold Alt or Option down, and then you can just drag the window from the center of it, and without ever risking clicking on anything. So I'm clicking on it in the middle, and I'm holding down Option or Alt, and I put the thing wherever I need to, depending on the scene that I'm showing. But I always want them on the top. Nobody else sees those, but I usually have a dead space on the window I'm on anyway, on the side or someplace, so that it's not conflicting with whatever I'm showing. All right, so next. I can change. So again, both the Firefox and Brave are full screened. I chose to put the bar down at the bottom. If you don't do that, the bar at the top will overtake this, and so when you go to put in URLs and stuff, it will fail. Otherwise, it's just normal full screen. Okay, so that just the solution there is just put stuff down at the bottom, and then that'll go away, and I have it set to auto hide. And beyond that, I have covered most of the things. So we have our scenes, we have our sources, I always want my auto mixer on so I can check my levels visually. in addition to my errors, which is directly a mix of the sound from my machine and from my mic. And what else? We have, of course, the controls here, which I don't use nearly as much. I have set, let me show you these really quick. A couple of things that I did not know about until very recently is automatic scene switcher. So this is set to browse browser and Mozilla Firefox, and when I have that, it runs the browser scene and foreground maps to the terminal. So let's talk about that for a second. I forgot those. All right, so we're talking about the terminals. So I've talked about this in another video, but I have one background terminal that's scrolling T-Matrix, and I have another. Let's go see here. So the background is Matrix, and the foreground is just a regular screen with this is a regular GNOME terminal with Tmux running. So everything is split all up, and we won't talk about that. That's another video as well. And what else? These are both full screened. This one has got transparency on it. But that's really just whatever you want for your terminal. But the key is that they're full screen and you're running at 1080p. So let me pull that up. Display. So it might take a while for it to come up. So here's the display setting. And I assume you're going to be able to see that. Possibly not. Oh, okay, desktop. There we go. So here I'm running just a regular 27-inch monitor. It says 28, but whatever. And I'm doing 1920 by 1080, so there's reduced load. It'll do much more, but I just figured I didn't ever want to really broadcast more than 1080p. And so that's how I have that set up. I'm not doing any other scaling of the monitor at all. And so let's run through the settings on here. So I'm going to click on settings. Where are they? Under controls, settings. I just ran through the auto thing that just decided all my settings and accepted them. And I've had people tell me to turn down the FPS or whatever, and I just decided to accept the standards, and it's never been a problem. And I haven't had anybody report it as a problem. So under stream, we have just the regular Twitch stuff. The output, this is all it picked up by its own. Hardware NVENC. If you don't have hardware NVENC for some reason, you can't really stream. You'll be trying to do it from software, which I did on another Linux machine that didn't have its video card correctly set up, so that's a bad no. I kept the bitrate where it was. Again, all these others are just by default. I never plan on doing any recording with OBS because the clipping and the video producer is so good in Twitch that it's all I ever plan to do. I'm not the kind who's going to spend a large amount of time on their videos for publishing them. I'd rather put content out that's suitable than screwing around with zoom in and all that other stuff. Yeah, you might get like a lead-in image, so a thumbnail, and then audio. Again, it's all the same defaults. Let's talk about the audio inputs though. Okay, so audio. Let's go to the sound, and here we go. So the sound says. Again, I have a board that has a USB cable, and it's tied in, but I'm using line out because what I'm doing is the output is coming out of the headphone jack essentially from the computer, and it's directly going into one of my inputs on the board, and then that input is being translated to which, by the way, this input is affected directly by my volume keys, which I can adjust from my keyboard just like I would if I were normally using my computer, which is really nice. I don't have to hit anything on my board or anything unless I want to mute my voice. And you lose that ability from OBS when you do this setup. So I have an output here, and then I have input coming straight in from here. The current setup I have, I doubt we'll be able to do any kind of Skype interviews. It's not a true mix minus, which is the name of this audio configuration. A mix minus is when you have all the analog signal coming from the computer into your device, and then you're adding on any inputs through that go into your device or to your board. In this case, I only have my mic right now, but if I had a mic and a guitar, it would be the same thing. And so those things all go out and back into the computer as input currently through the USB. With a mix minus, however, I would have to have another channel for feeding back all of the stuff into the computer, and I can do that with an FX output or an aux out, but I haven't currently got that set up. And what that would do is it would prevent the people on Skype or the people on Discord that you're interviewing from hearing your voice echo, because otherwise they're going to hear all that. So again, outputs are going out. Basically, it's the same thing as plugging headphones or something, but I'm just plugging in my board, and my mic goes straight into the board, and the board comes back into the computer through a digital line in, which is what this is right here. I have all the volumes maxed, which I learned to do because then I can control all the volumes from the board, and I don't have to really think about adjustments. I was a little worried there because I didn't have total amount of output at one point, but I didn't have to do anything crazy like amplifying a particular I didn't have to amplify a particular application or go over here. That's really problematic, so you don't necessarily need hotkeys. I have I don't use one of those boards, those Stream Decks. I just use my numpad and the control key on the left. And so I have a bunch of things set up to change scenes. So I have one, let's see, I'm going to try this now. So my control 1 goes to my terminal scene. My control 2 goes to, is it not doing it? What is going on? All right, let me try. Should do it. Control 2. Yeah, Control 2 goes to my Firefox. Control 3 goes to my desktop. So again, Control 1 goes to my terminal scene. Control 2 goes to my browser. Control 3 goes to my full desktop. And I have above those three keys, I have some extra views. So from the terminal, Control 4 will turn off the foreground and just turns on the background only if I want to just go matrix background or whatever. If I do Control 5, it turns on a sub window for Firefox up in the corner, which just usually takes over a schedule or something that's dead real estate during a live session. So that's how I manage video sharing and all that. And then Control 6 is me. And I have those things mapped, and it's literally me. That's what I named it. So I have those things mapped in all of the windows, so that when I take it away from one window, it removes itself from all of the windows. So that is what's up with these. Now, something that was not completely obvious to me originally is two things. One, let me turn on the sound. One of the things that wasn't completely obvious was yeah, dead real estate. One of the things that wasn't completely obvious was the control numpad. Was these asterisks mean that you need to set this key for both things, and if you do, it'll toggle it. Another thing that wasn't completely obvious is if you push the plus over here, you can actually define additional things, additional mappings for the same thing. Which is nice because I like to know, like I also have control asterisk to know that if I really don't want my face on any screen, I can do that. But you can equally do that for turning off. That's something I just learned. None of the hotkeys work while the hotkey editor is open. That's pretty interesting to learn. Okay, so switching the scenes is here. So I'm all about the num keys and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 because I want them right and easy to press and remember. I've actually looked around for little like stickers that I can put over my keyboard. I have one of these Apple keyboards. I'll show you the one I'm not using currently. You've probably seen them. These like Apple Mac keyboards, but this numpad over here is worth. And I really like it because of the extra numpad. I don't have to. It's even closer than a whatever $50 Stream Deck would be. All right, advanced. I don't have anything set under advanced, and I never will probably. The reason I liked to have so many, I use painter's tape for my hotkeys. Really, gonna have to go look at that. Thanks for the input. Is that an app or a joke? Painter's tape. Isn't it called Stream Deck? There's a thing called a Stream Deck, which you can. It puts like fun little digital high-res buttons that you can push that'll change all your scenes for you. I think it's a waste of money, but a lot of people have one. I mean, I only have like 3 or 4 scenes and modifications, and so I never need more than 6. And by the way, I would rather have them be right next to my keyboard, you know, so my hand can reach the whole thing. I'm not a good streamer yet. I've been, but I believe I'm finally getting set up so that I can more adeptly change between scenes and stuff. Right. So here I am. See, look, wow, I'm like moving up in the world or something. So yeah, here it is. I have a Stream Deck too, but I mainly use it for work. Okay, that makes sense. I mean, I can see some applications for it, particularly for gamers, or if I've seen people have multiple cameras, and I've got an extra leftover camera or two that I'm eventually gonna set up. One pointing outside, one pointing to our whole studio here, and when I have that, I imagine I might find value in that. But I still got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, like 9 or 10 non-map things, and I can just Control Shift instead of Control, and I got another 12. So I don't see myself ever buying a Stream Deck. It's not so much that I'm cheap. It's just this is more efficient for me. Anyway. Okay. So, what are we talking about? So we went through the settings. The biggest thing of all, if you are a Linux or especially Ubuntu streamer, is you have to do NVIDIA right. And so to do that, I push Command to pull up my search bar. I'm going to type NVIDIA and get the NVIDIA X server settings. This comes as a proprietary drivers. Is only available from the proprietary drivers, so you can't really do this well, I believe, unless you choose for the proprietary driver install, which is a pain in the butt. But especially with UEFI, but we won't talk about that right now. I'll just know it's not easy, but you have to have it. But here's the one thing you really have to have. So you really have to have this setting here. It's under let's see, OpenGL. So here's the setting: sync to VBlank and allow flipping. So would this be GNOME specific or Linux across the board? Well, I've determined so far, having talked with Scream and a bunch of others, at least one other, that no, it's specific to Ubuntu. And the problem isn't just for OBS streaming, it's for lots of things. And if you don't know what I'm talking about, you usually will see like a line that just kind of like updates very slowly through the page. But turning these two things off does that and takes it off. So far, I haven't experienced any loss of quality. I've been checking my videos out a lot lately because I've been posting them to YouTube, and as I watch them, there's no problems. I wonder if they'll actually come back if I add it back. I'm a little worried to do that right now. Oh no, there it went. You see it? Did you see it? It's really not consistent. You see it like that? You see it now? Yeah, you definitely see it. See that? It's like totally messed up. Yeah, that's cool. That was quite an experiment. I thought I might have lost the stream there. There, I did it again. But yeah, it really is. And you know what? It's funny. I actually had somebody point this out to me. They went, "Oh, another Ubuntu streamer," and I was like, "What?" And they were kind of who's it told me that? It might have been you, Zeros, but somebody told me that, and so I was like, oh, I gotta get rid of that. So I mean, I spent like a full night researching this. There's so many different ways, and that's how I know that it's not the same as AMD, because first of all, I couldn't fix it on another system I had with AMD on it, and secondly, I used something that Ice Cream had done, and his it didn't seem to help. So I did find this. It was a quiet little like 60-second silent video that had somebody clicking those two things, and I did it, and I had magic. Right. Now the real quick question is have I screwed it up? Am I gonna have to reboot again? I don't think so. They do mess with you. There's a couple of these settings where if you change them, it really messes you, almost like reboots your GPU or something. Zero Series says, I turn these off for my video making as well because someone told me it would help the window tearing that I would only see in OBS but not on my screen. That is exactly the symptoms I've been seeing. And it's funny because I just saw it, and I'm a big fan of having this preview screen in front of me all the time now because of it. Because without that, I don't have any idea what's going down. So, and that's what it was. I thought it was just a glitch the first time I saw it. I thought, that's nothing that's just I'm seeing. And then I found out everybody could see it. I was like, no way. All right. So yeah, this is why I have. So here's another fun thing. So when you have this thing picked here, and if you lock it while it's selected, it will lock the preview. So if you lock the preview like that, now when I go to do a windowed preview, or any kind of why did it work that time? Well, whatever. That's the way it's supposed to work. So if you need a bigger preview for some reason, you can do the window preview. If you do, I'm trying to do, okay, you can resize the preview. If you want to do full size preview, you just do full screen and pick it, and then it's your whole screen. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. Did you see what just happened? That's got to be one of the coolest effects I've ever seen. And it was completely on accident. So what I did, do you really want to quit? Yeah, I want to quit. Okay. So watch, I'll do it again. So right click, preview full screen projector while I'm projecting my desktop. Ready? Whoa. Oh my gosh. I hope that gets recorded that way. That's awesome. Close. Okay. Wow. It's like some 70s special effects there. It's like, okay, are you ready for hyperspace? Wait. Can I just try something here? You guys okay? Let me try something. I'm sure you're not, but all right. So I'm going to put I'm going to put my face over here. I'm having way too much fun.